When I announced that I will play and review the Assassin's Creed series, the first game was what I was most hesitant about. This is because it has an abnormally aggressive fan base and they immediately start attacking at the slightest negative criticism. As you can understand from my venture, I didn't like Assassin's Creed. This is not my first time playing this game. I remember enduring various tortures every time I played, but when I finished the game and set it aside, I will forget about I had experience. I will literally erase all my experiences with the game from my mind. Therefore, even if my comment about the game was negative, I struggled to explain the reason. Today I will talk about how bad this game is. We will see how a story cannot be written, how a game's mission should not be, and how an annoying game is created. When Ubisoft releases this game for consoles in 2007 and for computers in 2008, there was a fan base that trusted it, because Ubisoft had previously created a fantastic trilogy like Prince of Persia before Assassin's Creed. The Prince of Persia series had such a huge impact on fans that Ubisoft wanted to continue the series. However, the sequel to Prince of Persia Assassins over time turned into a production far from the Prince of Persia universe, and the Ubisoft team decided to transform this idea into something different. An assassin game. Assassin's Creed may give you what you want as an assassin game. However, this game is not the action-adventure game it claims to be. This game is an assassin simulation or something, and it could be one of the worst assassin simulations possible. First, I will start by telling the story, then I will come back to this point. In 2012, Desmond Miles, a bartender, is kidnapped by a company called Abstergo and is forced to use a device called Animus. This device, through genetic memory, can recreate the memories of the user's ancestors. From here, Desmond Miles begins to play the memories of Altair ibn La'ahat, a Syrian assassin who is his ancestor. Although Desmond's story continues occasionally, there is not much interesting about it. The ongoing war between assassins and Templars has continued to present day, and Desmond's close relatives, whom he does not care much about, are also assassins. This is all there is to Desmond's story in the first game. Altair's story goes like this. Altair, a master assassin, goes to an underground location for a treasure his master asks him to bring. I really don't remember where it was. Altair violates all three main rules of the assassins, and whenever he is warned by those around him, he justifies every mistake he makes with the excuse, "I am a superior assassin than you." Eventually, when he realizes that the treasure they are seeking is also desired by the Templars and a Templar master named Robert de Saub is present, Altair says, "Our main enemy is here and the treasure we are asked to get is here. Let's kill him, take the treasure and leave him behind." Those around him say, "This is not how it works, we shall wait for the right time." However, Altair again enters the situation directly, saying, "I am a superior assassin than you." Robert and the Templars easily throw Altair out of the room, and Altair moves towards Masyaf, leaving the treasure and the main enemy behind. Even here we can see how much Altair is a victim of his ambitions. The game supposedly claims that he realized how his ambitions harm him and that a more mature Altair appears in the end, but I do not think this maturation is well executed in the story. When Altair returns to Masyaf, he tells his mentor Al-Mualim that he failed in the mission. However, at that point, an assassin left behind comes up and says, "I brought the treasure you wanted, but because of Altair, I lost my arm and my brother," and mentions the laws Altair violated during the mission. Moreover, Masyaf is besieged by the Templars, but the assassins manage to repel the Templar army through a deceptive method. Due to violating all the rules of their brotherhood, endangering the brotherhood by revealing it and failing in the given mission, Al-Mualim stabs Altair and strips him of all his ranks. Altair will now strive to become a master assassin again as the lowest ranking assassin. Al-Mualim, despite all his mistakes, tells Altair that he trusts him and that there are 9 people he must kill. After this, Altair's boring and repetitive story in 3 different cities of the period begins. While telling the story in general, I must admit that the opening scenario, the intro, is interesting. The world we are in is beautifully established and the game captivates you with its opening. However, from that moment we go to Damascus for the first mission, all the missions we do to kill our enemies in each city are exactly the same. Go from here to there in a limited time, kill this many Templars, listen to these people, etc, etc. The missions are not only these, but doing the same missions 9 times is really torture. After a certain point, the assassination missions also lose their appeal. If you look at the characters, except for Altair and Al-Muallim, there are vice presidents responsible for each city and there are low-ranking assassins in the streets, but none of these characters have a memorable side. The vice president or bureau leader in Damascus treats us more positively, while the vice president in Jerusalem does not welcome us because he is the guy who lost his arm and brother Malik. But if you ask, did you remember Malik's name? I had to look at his name before writing this text. The characters are very weak, and because they are not seen much during the missions where we open viewpoints and do the same missions over and over again, we are usually alone. If you say that's the point of being an assassin, Ubisoft seems to have realized that this is a big problem because they decided to expand the character cast in the second game, Assassin's Creed 2. What's the use if they make the world's best assassin game but you don't enjoy it? And as far as I understand, no one in the Assassin Order is doing their job properly. I am constantly assigned to do other people's tasks and in return they give me information. Also, there is no game that reflects that period very well. As you can guess, the game is inspired by the Assassins and Hassan Sabah. Even Masyaf Castle is a castle used by Hassan Sabah and the Assassins, except for Alamut Castle. When I play Assassin's Creed game, I often conduct extensive research beforehand to better understanding the historical period they are set in. Assassin's Creed takes place during the Third Crusade, where there are various nationalities present, including French, German, English, Greek, Arab, and Turkish. Acre is under Christian control, while Jerusalem and Damascus are in the hands of Muslims. In such a complex environment, the assassins create trouble for both sides. There is a saying in Turkish, "At izi it izine karıştı," which translates to horse tracks mixed with dog tracks, emphasizing the difficulty of controlling events in chaotic times. This saying is particularly applicable to the Third Crusade. In such a complex geography, the cities should be well organized. Jerusalem should be a city where all 3 religions coexist since the Treaty of Jaffa has not yet been signed. However, the portrayal of Jerusalem in the game does not reflect this accurately. The religion structures around represent the sacred sites of all 3 religions, but by making a few changes, the same city could pass for maybe Baghdad. There is a lack of attention to details. Damascus is portrayed mostly as a Muslim inhabited city with the sound of the call to prayer. But I don't remember hearing the call to prayer, the Muslim prayer, in the game. Despite the majority of people appearing Muslim and mosques being present, minor changes could transform this city into Jerusalem maybe. Acre, on the other hand, is mostly portrayed as a Christian city. All 3 cities look alike. Throughout the game, I hear the sounds of rituals but not a single church bell or mosque call to prayer. I emphasize the religious elements because of the context, the Third Crusade, a war between the 2 major religions of the time. If the story is not good, the characters aren't good, and the cities do not reflect their era, is there anything good about the story, you might ask? Actually, there is one good thing, and I'll issue a spoiler warning here. Those who want to skip the spoiler, please jump to the timestamp mentioned on this screen. While playing the struggle between assassins and Templars, you come to the conclusion that one side is good and the other side is bad. However, in the end, you realize that the artifact called the Apple of Eden, which Al-Mualim seized at the beginning of the game, corrupts people. The real main villain is Al-Mualim. This is a very clever twist, and I find it quite successful. The only thing I find successful about the game's story is this revelation that the 8 people we assassinate throughout the game actually knew the secrets of Al-Mualim and hinted that he was a corrupt character. The 9th target we were assigned to kill ends up replacing himself with someone else who later becomes an important figure in Altair's story. Moving on to gameplay, Assassin's Creed is fundamentally built on 2 mechanics: combat mechanics and parkour mechanics. The combat mechanics of the game are slow, but considering that we play as a character who shapes his life around stealth, it can be overlooked. Still, the combat animations are not bad. We have a total of 4 weapons. The Hidden Blade, the most iconic among them, allow us to assassinate targets stealthily. I'll get back to stealth mechanics. Then we have the dagger and knives as secondary weapon. I rarely use daggers in the combat, but knives were useful for killing targets from a distance, especially when dealing with rooftop guards. The sword is our main weapon, frequently used in close combat. I really like the sword combat, the animations and the weightiness, very well done. Apart from our weapon, we also use our fist in interrogation missions where we beat someone to extract information. I want to address a specific point here. The NPCs from whom we pickpocket knives can interfere in the interrogation missions where our target is being beaten and they can join the fight. Suddenly we can find ourselves facing 6 or 7 people that we need to battle. Talking about weapons, I want to mention that many things seems missing from the game. For example, the crossbow shown in trailers, where is it? Where is it? We're going to see the crossbow in the 3rd game, Brotherhood. Moreover, after a point, the battles become repetitive. The mission gets cancelled for a ridiculous reason. Enter the battle, there are 5 or 6 guards around us. One attacks, counter it, then kill with a heavy attack. Occasionally, someone grabs you, break free from the grab. Although combat mechanics are good, battles become monotonous after a while. Returning to stealth mechanics, I don't believe Assassin's Creed has a stealth mechanic. I mean, serious. The game couldn't convince me that it has this mechanic. While guards chasing my character, there are some places to hide, yes, but a more comprehensive stealth mechanic should be in the game. Al-Mualim once tell us, your actions are stirring up this entire cities. Pay attention, kill your targets stealthily. Then we never return to this issue. It is incomprehensible. It is not possible for me to assassinate the target stealthily because of this lack of stealth mechanics. This seems to be one of the shortcomings in the game. Regarding parkour mechanics, I found Altair's climbing to be very slow, and even climbing the simplest viewpoint take a long time. Many times the character did things I wasn't trying to do. Moreover, climbing is painfully slow when the game is full of bugs. Speaking of bugs, I encountered a bug at the beginning of the game that made me laugh. After synchronizing one of the very first viewpoints, I performed a leap of faith into a haystack. The game automatically chooses where to jump, as you know. After I jumped, I found myself dead. To solve this problem, I opened the internet and found suggestions like turning on VSync, fixing the game to 30 or 60 FPS, etc. After opening the internet, the freezing issue returned. I never mentioned the freezing issue, right? I'm gonna mention it. After turning on VSync, the problem was solved. I turned off the internet, the freezing problem seems to be gone. And dying from the leap of faith as well. When I mention the freezing issue, I mean this. When you launch the game, it attempts to connect to a server that no longer exists. As a result, there are brief freezes lasting 3 or 4 seconds, roughly about 5 minutes. The only solution to eliminate these freezes is to disconnect from the internet. Returning to parkour mechanics, leaving aside climbing, I hate the lunatics running at me when I am running on the ground. I think the entire Assassin's Creed community hates them. I am 5 meters away or something, but they insist on attacking me. Whether I kill them or not, it's a problem. I have talked about why the story and gameplay are bad, but visually the game is really good. As I mentioned before, although the cities do not accurately depict the urban structure of that era, they look visually appealing. They are not masterpieces, but the visuals are nice. The character models and weapon designs are individually successful. Well done, Ubisoft. However, the game is technically a disaster. I mentioned the difficulties I faced just to get into the game and run it smoothly at the beginning of the review. On top of that, the game is not free of bugs. Characters for pickpocketing knives are already everywhere. They spawn too much. Soldiers can also spawn in strange places due to this, leading to mission failures. Let's talk about sounds. The sounds in the game are neither good nor bad. Did you know that there are no subtitles in the game? Yeah. In a region where everyone speaks different languages and English speakers are also speak with an accent like me, there are no subtitles. Additionally, Turkish speaking characters, sometimes the sentences they say are very awkward. For example, "Kime boyun eğmek istiyorsun" is my favorite. It translates to English, "Who do you want to bow to?" Huh? Who do you want to bow to? Really, it might be a sentence that makes sense in English, I think it is not, but it is definitely not a meaningful sentence in Turkish. People might say sentences like, "Why is he running?" But why would assassins say these sentences? This is one of the absurdities I found in the voice acting. Moving on to music, I never find Assassin's Creed music successful. Most of the time, the music creates a depressing atmosphere. It reflects the atmosphere, you might say, but the atmosphere shouldn't be reflected like this. Despite all the illness, wars, and economic hardships, these people are still people. They will undoubtedly listen to or create different music for entertainment or stress relief. You don't have to include these in the game, but as a soundtrack, how beautiful it would be. In summary, Assassin's Creed is a failed game, but the long journey with the Assassin's Creed series is just beginning. The first game may be a disaster, but I can guarantee that there will be many highly successful games among the sequels. Before finishing the video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on channel notifications to be informed about new videos. See you soon!